Meet Will and Tom, two seemingly ordinary men, cursed with a gift of vast knowledge that is forever expanding. Possessing incredible insight with unparalleled skills and expertise. Let us join them as they embark on a journey to quench their thirst for the truth while answering the questions to life's most intriguing mysteries. Let us open our minds and ask, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? And now, superior entertainment for the superior squid race, approved by the Supreme Squid Emperor, the Squilliam and Squom Show. Welcome back, everybody. This is Thomas Case.
This is William Stark.
William, at the beginning of this show, we need to make a couple of announcements.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
We need to, first off, let everyone know that in case you didn't look on our social medias, William A. Cook, I think it was I said that in the wrong order. A. William Cook won the $100 gift card giveaway.
Was it A. William Cook or was it A. William Cook?
I think it was A. William Cook.
All right. Okay.
I still think that's your fake account that you made, and you embezzled $100 from us.
I just embezzled $100. That's hilarious. You'll never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations to A. William Cook, was it?
Yeah, A. William Cook.
All right. Well, congratulations again, and thank you for everyone who did enter into our contest. We will have another one at some point in the future. We don't know when, but it will happen, I'm sure. Was there anything else?
Yes, and then also, and this was a little while back. This was back on June 8th.
Okay.
And
day after my birthday.
Day after your birthday, and I think we have forgotten to mention this, which I do apologize for, but we don't want to skip this new 5-star review.
5-star review
from Osteric.
Thank you, Osteric.
And Osteric writes, "We've all done it, but these guys are bringing it to you. I love the idea of this podcast. Tom and Will are great hosts. I got here via the Dungeon Cast, where I thoroughly enjoy the content, and although this is different, it's just as good. They bring up some subjects that I've never really thought about, and the banter is often quite funny, so it makes for a great listen. Thanks, guys."
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you,
That's a fantastic review.
We do really
I challenge anyone in the audience to beat it.
Yeah, I know. If you think you could write a better 5-star review.
No, that was an excellent review. Thank you, Osteric.
Yeah, we really do appreciate those. And now, on with the show. So this question, Will, is actually from one of our listeners.
Okay.
Jules Fang.
Thank you, Jules Fang. And
Jules writes, "What if there was another hyper-intelligent species that we had to share the world with?"
Okay.
I really like this question because my dad was actually
was actually a different species that was highly intelligent. Wow!
Oh, you took my thunder.
Go ahead.
No, my dad was like a self-proclaimed anthropologist. Like he loved talking about like
my dad was a self-proclaimed squid person.
Yeah. But okay. Because he did like studying like different species, early man, you know what I mean? Things
cool.
like that. He loved researching stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So I know he would have liked this question.
Okay.
But so that is the question. The parameters
thank you.
I know you're waiting for it. You're giving me that look like, okay, Tom. Okay, and the parameters. The parameters are: in the evolution of humankind, there was another more intelligent species.
More intelligent.
Yeah, they were more intelligent.
Okay, well,
alongside Homo sapiens. That's basically it. Yeah,
you got none of the parameters. All right.
So this one's going to start from the beginning of our.
Okay, so okay, let's talk about this. So one of the main things about Homo sapiens, which is our species, is that we were the most intelligent of the of all creatures as far as we know on the planet, but specifically of our branch of the primate family. And the thing about that was, because we were the smartest, we killed the rest.
yeah, exactly.
So if you were to ask me what if evolutionarily there was a more intelligent species out there, like, I don't know, some sort of brainiac bird people, my answer is that you and I would be bird people doing this podcast and that there wouldn't be humans.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you do look at it in that way, I mean, I guess the only way I can see this is one could make the argument that because this other species is more intelligent, maybe they aren't as violent as we were in our evolutionary history.
That's
right?
not likely. It's more like the non-violent behavior is a learned behavior over the case of, in this case, hundreds of thousands of years, and we're still quite violent.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately.
Yes. So if this parameter was more like of equal intelligence, I think there's more room to play here, because I firmly believe if it was any type of significantly higher intelligence than us, then we would have been corralled, wiped out, turned into cattle, or most likely just wiped out.
Or okay, you know what? Let's view both. First, let's view the fact that maybe we would be corralled into like a cattle-like existence, or
I think the most useful thing that here we go. I think the most useful thing a higher intelligent species that's looking to subjugate us would get out of us is not food but labor.
Yeah, like
so
slave
we would
labor.
be labor slaves to our squid overlords.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first let's talk about like the candidates, the candidates for this higher form of life. Let's look at like the other smartest species in the world. We have whales and dolphins. Octopuses are up there. Certain types of birds like parrots.
True.
Other primates, but I think that's the boring answer, so let's not do that one.
Because those are the most obvious.
Yeah. And that's it, really. Because then we start getting into like canines and pigs, and like, I just don't see that happening. So which of these are we saying? Was it the squid people coming out of the sea? Was it the parrot folks coming out of the jungles?
No, my vote actually would be, I think, because also of the vast nature of their environment, it would have to come from the water. I think it would be like a some type of
if they come from the water, then there needs to be like they need some way of coming onto the land to subjugate us.
Exactly.
So like, what if they have they evolved like super fibrous like tentacles that are capable of, and a bone structure capable of like supporting themselves on? How big are they?
I would say they're probably roughly as big as us. Maybe a little bit bigger. That would give them definitely the advantage of making us, like their slave labor. But
I think they have to be bigger than us. Because I think that they're like, okay, hold on. Do they become bipedal? Are they humanoid? Did we just invent mind flayers from Dungeons and Dragons?
I think we just invented mind flayers.
Do the illithids come from the ocean?
Yeah.
And they subjugate us with their telepathic powers.
I think the way that this would work would be because they would need to adapt to be in their own environment under the water, right? I don't see them being bipedal because like they're not always going to maybe be on land, but I do, because they are going to be more intelligent, right? So they would have to evolve probably a lot of little tendrils or tentacles that are like opposable, like our thumbs, so that they can make tools.
Bear with me. If they're coming onto land and subjugating us, but we're not talking about advanced civilization with technology, right? Because they're evolving alongside us, right? Yeah. So that means that they need to come on land, and they need to be able to stay on land, and they need to be able to overpower us. The way I see that is they have developed they're let's say we're going with like a squid or octopus. We'll say octopus, right? Eight ligaments, right? I'm thinking that 2 to 4 of the ligaments have evolved into thicker, stumpier versions of themselves to allow for like traversing land. And the remaining 6 to 4 became more muscular, but also maybe triple tipped. in order to better
to like pick up things and to manipulate small
and
objects.
then they developed a better skeletal structure, right? So we now have these fucking monstrosities marching onto the shore.
These look horrifying in my head.
And they begin to start their tribes in the trees and whatnot, and they meet our primate ancestors, and they evolve faster than us. They're smarter than us. Yeah. And soon they start pushing us out of their territory and making our territory smaller. And then at some point, some of them begin to realize, much the way we domesticated dogs, we could domesticate these stupid primates into our slaves. Yeah. And thus they would do so. They would begin to pick us off one by one. They would kidnap us, and then eventually their population would overwhelm us, and then it would probably get into weird breeding programs, the way we breed dogs, where they've bred certain humans to be like, extra muscular, while they've bred others to be more dexterous, and they probably bred us to do certain labors over time, and then eventually we get to the far future where now we're like designer breeding humans as pets.
Yeah, so you could get your own little your lap human.
Exactly. Can you imagine the miniature humans and the this and the that, the Dalmatian versions of us and the
imagine instead of like a guard dog, like the guard human.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like
exactly.
You would just have people. Yeah. You would see human. Imagine walking down the street and you see a human in the yard, and all of a sudden they're just like, "Hey, who are you? I'm in this yard. This is my yard. This is my." You know what I mean? Like
barking, seriously.
Right? Like,
well, and then look what we've done to canines. Where like we've bred them to be as domesticatable as they cover us with adulation. They adore us. They are obedient. Like they're smart enough, but they're not the smartest. Like these squids would probably breed the intelligence out of us.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Humans would not.
I would not.
Humans would not be anything like they are today.
We
would be a completely subjugated race by these evil squid people.
Can anybody hear me? Please hear me. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, this is Fritz Frivolous. I need your help. I'm stuck. Somehow stuck inside the minds of Will and Tom. I need to escape. Please support them and their podcast. You can go to patreon.com/dudecouldyouimagine or leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Distract them long enough for me to break free. You can even leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Again, don't forget about me, Fritz Frivolous.
Because I did, you're right. I already did think about the line of thinking of, they would breed us to do different things, but I never thought about breeding out certain aspects like our intelligence or whatever.
Yeah. This podcast would be Dude Could You Imagine, hosted by Squom and Squilliam.
Yeah, for real.
And we would be doing this in reverse, where what if humans were actually the dominant race? Blah, 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 blah.
Could you imagine? Squilliam, that would just be weird.
Exactly. So,
oh my god.
So that's what I think would happen.
So you know what? That is very interesting. Like how dumb would we be like as a species?
I don't think humans would. As a matter of fact, I don't think Homo sapiens sapiens would be the human species that made it, because I think it would have been easier for them to deal with some of the other ones like Homo habilis or Neanderthal or So
that
would
be crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, that was very interesting. Okay, let's go back to the other thing you said then. What if,
what if it was like equal footing?
Like
right?
like an equal footing.
I think what happens here is we'll go with the same premise. The squid people come out of the ocean, they establish themselves, we evolve side by side. I think much the same way that habitat and territory was vied for by all the different primates. I think that happens with the squids in the mix. And I think since they're on equal footing, it's very likely that there are places in the world where humans get pushed out. There's places in the world where the squids get pushed out. And I think things become very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Do you think it would still be very divided?
Yeah, that's what well, at first it would definitely be this thing where it's very, when two groups of people are not allowed to or don't interact.
Like segregated?
Segregated, that's the word. The entire world would have huge divider lines, probably smaller pocket ones at first, but as both species develop side by side at the same rate, probably bigger ones, until we have full nations of squids and humans, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And who knows, like, I don't know, maybe these squids probably thrive a little bit better in the human areas, right? And they push people out of the equator, while the colder areas maybe get taken up by the primates.
Yeah.
And then I think
definitely the hot desert areas too would be probably
yeah. I would think that eventually, after, like, let's say neither side manages to wipe each other out, but there's just like centuries and millennia of wars, because of course there's going to be, until finally maybe both species get to a modern state where they realize that, like, a economy that's reliant on each other, and, you know, peace and treaties, you know, make a difference, and blah 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 blah. Or maybe it's at that point where they're dealing with the integration of nations and whatnot, and you know, all that stuff. Which I just think would be even more difficult than the shit we're still going through today, considering, like, these are literally squid people and humans. You know what I mean? Like,
I was imagining in my head too, and then you have like the first Romeo and Juliet style thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God. Yeah. Imagine if interbreeding is possible. Holy shit.
And you finally had one human that fell in love with one squid person or whatever.
The squidmons.
Squid, yeah.
That's crazy.
The squid.
I do think that interspecies relationship probably wouldn't be able to produce children, just because the genetics would be so drastically different. But, like, you still would probably at some point have interspecies relationships if, you know, the societies can get to tolerating each other to a certain degree. Yeah. And like you said, in Romeo and Juliet style ways. Yeah. Yeah. It would dominate. It would absolutely dominate every facet of our culture. The differences and the like, the people who are like for like equal rights and for integration, and the people who are like, nah, fuck them squid people, or the squid people are like, nah, fuck them four-limbed fucks. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be like huge racism and upheaval and social wars, and that's even if we get that far, because the fact of the matter is, like, theoretically these species are on even ground, but, like, there are going, like, look at in real life how, like, certain cultures, like, took over the world, like the British Empire, for example. Yeah. I can't help but think, though, like, let's say like the Roman or British Empire happens, like, I don't think there's a toleration in this case, because of, like, I feel like there's this innate human fear of the other, that, like, it takes a lot of work and a lot of, like, cultural development to get over. I think full genocide happens on both sides. You know what I mean? Yeah. And unless something happens, I feel like if one side gets the upper hand, like, it's a snowball effect. Like,
especially, talking about the upper hand, I was thinking the first time these squid people, whatever you want to call them, establish a beachhead, right, on some, and it's a major one, that's when the humans are going to start to get in trouble. But what you were talking about with, like, I think all of this makes it more difficult that we're saying they are squid people, because they're so different, like, from us.
Well, I mean, isn't that the point? It's a completely different species.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, like compared to our own, somewhat similar. I mean, somewhat similar, but, like, early man and some Neanderthals and some, like Homo erectus and all that kind of stuff. We're similar, you know what I mean?
They come from the same, like, family of animals,
you know what I mean? And then a lot. I know a lot of some scientists too say that, yes, as Homo sapiens, we did kind of eradicate all the other species, but, like, they don't think it was a total annihilation. They think some crossbreedings happened. Yeah, and so sure. Like, things got bred out and bred in or whatever, and it ultimately created now what is us as humans. Yeah. And that couldn't happen.
No,
if they were squid people, that's I think what the big difference is with this war. Yeah. This type of evolution, I think.
Now, I think it gets really interesting if we go, like, Dungeons and Dragons style, and there's just a bunch of different species of high intelligence with cultures and stuff, because then it's like no one side probably gets the upper hand.
Oh, there would be definitely factions on
there would be, just like it. So, like, in classic D&D, you have dwarves and elves and goblins and humans, and they all fucking hate each other, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, it would probably be similar to that. In this case, we would have the squids and the humans and the bird people. And
you would think, though, there would be alliances. I wonder who would make the alliances for who.
I think it would all be very what's the word I'm looking for when something isn't consistent, when it's very turbulent. I think it would all be very turbulent and very fluid. I think there would be backstabbing pretty much everywhere. No one really
no one could really hold a true alliance.
Yeah.
They're probably.
But if we're talking about 5 different species with high intelligence, equally starting off on equal footing across the globe, I think we're looking at, again, massive wars and genocide and all that other horrible stuff that intelligent creatures do. And also, maybe no one gets the upper hand and we live in this crazy world.
That is true. And you know what? Looking back on our own evolutionary, history, it's, who knows? If we didn't have this intelligence, we would have been the ones maybe that gone away. You know what I mean? Because because that was the upper hand. The other earlier men or whatever you want to call them were stronger. You know what I mean? But they just weren't that intelligent.
I mean, some of them were, some of them weren't.
Yeah, it wasn't all black and white.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, ultimately, you know what I mean? Because that would have sucked. Because you know what I mean. We would not have been here.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm just very curious. I wish we maybe we have a listener out there or someone that can do animations. This whole time that we've been talking about this, I've been seeing this animated war going on between these squid people and early man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I would just love to see something like that.
That would be really cool. That would be absolutely awesome. Cool. So that's really what I think. What about you? What are your thoughts?
No, that seems consistent. That seems kind of like what I was thinking. The only things that the one thing that you did bring up that I never thought about was in the version where we are like the slave labor, where we have a higher, more intelligent species that is I guess above us, whatever you want to say. I never thought about breeding out traits. You know what I mean? Because that's the end of us, really. We would not be what we are today. You take away our intelligence. I mean, that's it, really.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that. I
mean,
you know what I mean?
There
that's a scary thought. You know what I mean? Because it's not just going through our evolutionary history, it's a scary thought of what if one day we do encounter an alien race that does come here, and they're obviously that means they are more intelligent than we are because they've figured out how to do interstellar travel. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's why there's that the dark forest theory of the universe, where it's the universe is a dark forest, and the reason that we don't see or hear any other civilizations out there is because they are all smart enough to know to shut the fuck up. Because if the wrong civilization comes across you, that might be it for your people. And the fact is you're playing, it's like game theory, right? It's where you're both sitting there and you have a button that can kill the other person or a button that can save the other person. And game theory says you should always hit kill because it's your most likely chance to survive. And that's kind of the dark forest theory.
Wow, I never heard of this game theory.
If you do come across another species, according to game theory, would be annihilate is your best chance. Because you have no fucking idea what they're going to do, which I don't agree with. I'm just saying, that is it's an entire theory and train of thought.
So I've also never heard of the dark forest theory thing that you brought up, but that makes total sense because just in order to survive, in the jungles of our own areas, animals know to shut the fuck up because they don't want to attract their predator that's going to come kill them.
Right.
And here we are, Earth, sending out all these radio signals. Hey, look at us! I know.
The thing is, one of the reasons for the dark forest theory is because the idea is the chances that two species capable of intergalactic travel meet and are at the same technological level are almost zero. Yeah. One is undoubtedly going to be millions of years ahead of the other.
Yeah.
And that's why there's the dark forest theory of don't alert anyone to your presence because they're likely to way outgun you. And if they way outgun you, they have no reason to spare you. Mm-hmm. So I know that's a really cynical, nihilistic view of the universe, but it could be that way.
But I think that's kind of that's almost a way of nature. That's just the way,
right?
It's a natural progression of what's going to happen.
It doesn't have to be, but it very well could just be.
Yeah,
the truth.
There's definitely a big chance of that.
Yeah,
man, this is very interesting. I'm actually really glad that we did this question. Now, thank you, Jules Feng.
Indeed,
because I find this stuff very interesting, especially the things that you just brought up, the dark forest theory and the game theory. I never heard of those, and now that you've brought those up. It makes sense. I'm really interested to know what our listeners think about. And again, if there's anyone out there that knows how to make little animations, please make an animation of squid people versus humans.
For sure. That'd be awesome. If that does happen, I'll be very surprised, but very pleasantly so.
Yeah, but definitely let us know what you guys think would happen if we had a more intelligent species that we, evolved alongside with. But dude, could you imagine? The podcast you have just heard are the imaginings from the highly evolved minds of the extra-dimensional beings, Will and Tom. It has been translated into a format more easily understood by the human mind. Interpret it as you will. Should you find yourself seeking more answers to life's most intriguing mysteries, you can show your support by becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/dude-could-you-imagine. You can also leave an Apple Podcast review. You can subscribe to us on Instagram at dude_could-you-imagine, on Twitter at DCYimagine, and on our YouTube channel, where you can leave a like and a comment. We can also be reached through our email, dudecouldyoumagine@gmail.com. We leave you now so that you may gather your thoughts, until we meet again, to ponder the meaning of the cosmos and ask, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Like the first Romeo and Juliet style thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Imagine if interbreeding is possible. Holy shit.
And you finally had one human that fell in love with one squid person or whatever.
The squidmons.
Squid. Yeah.
That's crazy.